It has been a hot minute since I have done a live training. I am thrilled to be here. Katie Harvey, in case you don't know me, I am a intuitive eating enthusiast, and my shtick is to be able to help you honor your health while listening to your body. So, really glad that you are here. If you have questions throughout the training, just drop them in the chat. I will address those. If you're watching the replay, I will circle back and address those later. And a quick housekeeping item before we dive into the mistakes that you might be making with nutrition, which is our theme for today. I have a brand new masterclass that's coming out. I'm going to announce the details on it next week, but the gist of it is that it's going to be about making eating easy instead of something that stresses you out 24/7. It doesn't need to be something that you are constantly preoccupied with. Instead, we're going to talk about how to let your body lead you, how to fuel yourself for your health with food truly looks like. So make sure you keep your eyes open for that because I'm really, really excited. It's brand new. I'm polishing all my slides. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be really in depth. It's a full-on webinar with slides. It's going to be a full hour long. We're going to do Q&A. And I think that you will find it immensely, immensely valuable. Okay. Enough of that. Let's dive into our mini training today on 3 mistakes that you might be making with nutrition. But first, coffee. Okay. Mistake number 1 is not eating enough in the earlier parts of the day. This is something I see time and time again in the people that I've worked with. They often are struggling with overeating in the evening, like at dinner and beyond, maybe even late at night. And as we kind of dissect what's going on with their eating earlier in the day. And what's so interesting is so often people have created this narrative in their minds that they must be an emotional eater. They must be lacking willpower. They must be addicted to food. They've got all these stories that they're telling themselves about. What is a common theme is that there may be some of that emotional stuff going on at night, for sure. But the water is so muddy if we haven't addressed whether or not they're eating enough earlier in the day. And what do I mean by that? Like, how do you know if you're eating enough earlier in the day? I think a lot of us think that we are because maybe we're not that hungry and we think that we're giving our bodies what they need earlier in the day. And subconsciously, we might either be restricting or just not intentionally fueling ourselves enough. And I've seen this a lot throughout diet culture in a few different ways. It used to just be kind of the, like, I'm thinking about Special K and eating something really light for breakfast, that's not going to sustain you for very long. But now we've also entered this era of intermittent fasting and all these supposed health benefits of not eating anything until later in the day. And we could argue the science on all of that. But what I will say from a human psychology and behavior standpoint and a biological standpoint, for a lot of people, that is setting them up to overeat later on. And we also know that there are biological and metabolic benefits to breakfast in particular, especially if you have a breakfast that includes a decent chunk of protein. There's research that shows that people who eat breakfast, like if we do tests on students, the ones who eat breakfast perform better academically than the ones who are skipping. So our brain is also some research that shows that people who eat breakfast are less likely to overeat later in the day. And some of that research should suggest better blood sugar control throughout the last at breakfast. So not only eating breakfast, but making sure you're having some protein with it is a really good place to start. But let's have a full meal at breakfast, potentially more food than what you're comfortable eating at breakfast, and see what happens. And then from there, to make sure that you're not going any longer than about 3 or 4 hours without eating something throughout the day. For people who are accustomed to skipping breakfast, what I often hear from them is that they're not that hungry for it. It doesn't really bother them. But when they do eat breakfast, they're hungrier throughout the day, and that freaks them out because they're like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to eat so much food all day long because I ate breakfast and it like stimulated my appetite. And spoiler alert, that's a good thing. That's a positive thing that your appetite is working for you in that way, because that means your body's doing what it should be doing in terms of digestion and metabolism and all that good stuff. So your appetite is not something that you need to be afraid of, I promise. And this is one of the very first things inside Non-Diet Academy that I cover with my students, is what happens to our metabolism when we're not eating enough, and then what happens when we do start eating more. And this is very counterintuitive because I teach intuitive eating inside my program. But one of the first things that we talk about is intentional eating and some structured eating and some scheduled eating, because we want to make sure that we're providing your body with consistent, predictable, and reliable sources of nutrition. And we want to start that off with breakfast pretty much right away. Like my general rule of thumb is try to eat breakfast within about an hour of waking up. And there's nothing magical about the 1 hour mark, but the point is, like, let's get this going right away. And so I'll have my students literally think about their week and what their schedule looks like, maybe on days that, or if they're a stay-at-home parent and they have kids in school, like on a end day look like, or if there's someone who works maybe like out on protein at snacks. And this one's a really easy fix. So a lot of the snack foods that we're accustomed to are mostly carbohydrate based, and there is nothing wrong with that. Carbs are fuel, carbs are energy, carbs are not something you need to be afraid of. But if we're only eating carbs, the way that they digest is very quickly. It's like quick energy. Your body can break it down and absorb it and utilize it really quickly, which is why it might not keep you full for very long. If you're eating something like Cheez-Its or fruit even, on its own, those foods aren't very satiating. So what we want to do at snack time is to pair the carbohydrates with a protein food. So I'm not saying you can't have your carbohydrate snack food. Enjoy your crackers or have a cookie, but let's do it maybe with a glass of milk or a cheese stick or some Greek yogurt or some nuts or something like that. And now we've got a snack that's going to be both satisfying from a taste perspective, and it's going to nutritionally give your body a chance to break it down more slowly and have more sustained energy. So I like to think of snacks as a mix and match type of thing. So you can think, okay, cheese, crackers, fruit, yogurt. You might do peanut butter with a banana or peanut butter with some graham crackers. I feel like peanut butter is a real versatile one. I do a lot of Greek yogurt, and then I'll mix in either maybe berries, or I'll crumble up a graham cracker. Sometimes I'll stir cereal or granola into it, or I'll take one of those really messy Nature Valley granola bars and like crunch it up because it was already in crumbs anyway. That's really good in yogurt. So think about ways that you can incorporate that protein into your snack, and you'll find that it keeps you full longer, and you're less likely to want to just keep eating more and more and more of the snack food, like the, chips or cookies or crackers or whatever it might be. The other little caveat I have with this one is do not get obsessed with protein. So I think some people are missing protein when they're eating, and they need to be more intentional about adding it in, because protein's not as exciting of a food for us. It's not something that we might crave the way that we do other foods. But then on the other hand, diet culture has taught us to be obsessed with protein and to treat it like it's the holy grail of nutrition, which it's not. When we think about nutrition, like if we zoom out and think big picture, nutrition is about giving your body what it needs to function properly and stay alive. And there are 3 main nutrients that comprise our macronutrients. That's where you hear macros coming from. And that would be your carbohydrate, protein, and fat. They are all necessary. They're not optional. One is not better than the other. They just do different things. And so they're all important in their own regard. So we don't want to scapegoat one and then glorify another. We need to have all of them and to not go to the extremes. The extremes are what gets us tripped up so often. So don't get obsessed with protein. Don't eat only protein and vegetables and exclude other foods, because that will eventually backfire on you when you're like, oh my gosh, I just need some carbs. It turns out carbs are an important source of energy for your body. Okay, mistake number 3. Not trusting your body to communicate to you what it needs. And so here's what I mean by that. A lot of people think that intuitive eating is either just eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. Or they think it means eat whatever you want, whenever you want. That's actually impulsive eating. And the thing is, in the early stages of breaking away from dieting and saying, okay, I am just going to let myself eat like a normal person, the things you're going to want over and over again are the things that you were telling yourself that you shouldn't or couldn't have. And so your eating is probably going to look very unbalanced for a while. You've got to get that out of your system. But we want you slowing down and checking in with your body and listening to your body along the way when you're doing that. And to not only check in with what sounds good, but to ask yourself, am I hungry? And if you're not hungry, to ask yourself, what else do I need outside of food right now? And to reassure yourself that you can have that food anytime you want when you are hungry. But the other part of listening to your body is paying attention to, how does food make you feel after you eat it? How do you feel after you've had something? Because different food feels different within our bodies. It digests differently. It's going to affect our energy levels differently. So for example, if I have a really hearty, heavy meal at lunchtime, I feel pretty sluggish in the afternoon. And I'm already my baseline is that I wish I could take a nap every single afternoon. And so I don't need something making me more sluggish. So I tend to go for lighter foods at lunch, like cold foods, sandwiches, or sometimes I'll do kind of a charcuterie type of finger food lunch. Or if I do leftovers, I might not do as heavy of a portion of it. And then I might have something like some fruit or some baby carrots and hummus or something on the side. Whereas I'm more prone to have a hot dish of something that is going to sit a little bit heavier in my stomach in the evening. And that's just me knowing my body and what feels good. But again, it's important not to be too restrictive or to undereat at lunchtime, because that will backfire on you as well. So listening to how food makes you feel, that's the point I'm trying to make there. And then another thing, I've been hearing this a lot lately from inside my Facebook community. So people wondering, how can I not diet and take care of my health? If I have some type of medical condition, let's say pre-diabetes, diabetes, fatty liver disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, they think I can't possibly listen to my body, because then I'm just going to eat all the stuff that I've been told I shouldn't be eating if I have those conditions. Here's the thing though. Part of what your body is communicating to you is what it needs from a health perspective. And so your blood pressure or your blood work is telling you something. That is a signal from your body, similar to hunger and fullness, or similar to the foods that you're craving. Your body is telling you something about what it needs. So I'm going to use the blood sugar example. So if your A1C is high, if your blood sugar is running high, then what your body is communicating to you is that when you're eating carbs, we want to pair it with something else. We want to pair those carbohydrates with protein, fat, or fiber to slow down the absorption so that you don't get such a quick spike in your blood sugar. And we might want to have a gentle boundary with the dose of carbs that you have all in one sitting. And that doesn't mean you can't have your favorite foods. It means we want to have them strategically and with some of these strategies. And this is what I teach people inside Non-Diet Academy, is how do we use these strategies to apply nutrition science and gentle nutrition concepts without becoming restrictive and diety about it. Because what we also know is that dieting does not work. And that if you're trying to use dieting to manage your health, it's actually going to damage your health in the long run. That's not an effective strategy for managing your health. But being able to listen to what your body is telling you and to respond accordingly and compassionately and without going to extremes is a beautiful way to let your body lead you. And again, it's your body speaking to you in ways beyond just what sounds good to eat right now. We can let our body also tell us, yeah, it might sound good to eat pancakes for breakfast, but I also know that I need some protein and fat if that's going to stick with me or if that's going to support healthy blood sugars. So maybe you add peanut butter to the pancakes or have it with some scrambled eggs or something so that you can give your body what it wants and what it needs. And that's one of the most beautiful things when we step away from dieting and we dismantle all those rules and ridiculous judgments. It allows us to look at the facts about food and about health and about our bodies and to apply them in ways that are sustainable and that support us in taking care of ourselves. So let's recap these 3 common mistakes, and then I want you to tell me which one of them are you going to work on. So number 1 is not eating enough earlier in the day. So I really want you to think about, like, are you eating at least every 3 to 4 hours? Are you having carb, protein, and fat at your meals? And are you starting off your day at breakfast with breakfast? And then number 2 is, are you eating protein at snacks? So to double check that when you're having a snack, are you pairing it with a protein? But also, don't be obsessed with the protein, like also include carbs. And then mistake number 3 was not trusting your body to communicate to you and not thinking of intuitive eating as just hunger and fullness or eat whatever you want. So which one of those things can you work on? If you have questions about it, drop those below because I can come back and answer those. And then if you are someone who's ready to go deeper on these concepts and to heal not just your relationship with food, but also your relationship with your body image and how you feel about exercise and how you approach health, then Non-Diet Academy is the perfect program for you. And it's my signature program. It's an online course. It's a coaching program. I only offer it a couple times a year. And I'm actually getting ready to open the doors in September, which is the last time it will be offered in 2023. So if you're thinking about it and you want more details, I can pass those on to you. And if you are already aware of it and you know you want in, definitely reach out and let me know. Because it's not only a course, it's a group coaching program. There's individual coaching, and I will be there with you to guide you along the way, to help you implement the skills and the tools and the concepts that you're learning from the course curriculum so that you can overcome the mental blocks that you might have, that you can troubleshoot things that are coming up along the way. We can have those nuanced conversations about you and your body and your health and your specific situation, so that you can apply it in a way that makes sense for you in your life. So if you're at all interested, if you want to join, put your name on the wait list and I will let you know the moment the doors are open. There's some information on the website if you're curious about what's inside the course. And a little secret for you, you just might get a few perks for being on the wait list as well. So go check it out. It's at nondietacademy.com/waitlist. And that's all for today. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer, let me know. You can always reach out to me over DM. You can always email me. I don't mind that at all. Or just put your questions here in the comments. And I would absolutely love to see you inside Non-Diet Academy. I hope that you'll join my upcoming masterclass. That one's free. Details on that coming next week. So stay tuned. And I hope that you found this live training today helpful and that it gave you something to think about. All right. Have a great rest of your day.